A Wall Street bank gets robbed, but there are no victims and not a single dime goes missing. What makes it truly insane is that 4 painters take control of the entire bank in under a minute. 50 hostages, and a 36-hour power game is about to begin. On this day, the ringleader walks into the bank disguised as a renovation worker. He aims a high-powered infrared beam at the security cameras, and they go down instantly. At the same time, his accomplices dressed as painters slip through the back door and lock it behind them. A security guard steps forward to check on them, but he is immediately subdued by an armed accomplice. The crew begins taking control of everyone inside the bank. Once the guns come out, they easily lock down all 50 hostages. A patrol officer notices something unusual inside the bank and walks over to investigate, but the ringleader stays perfectly calm. He actually opens the door and tells the officer they are robbing the bank, so go ahead and call it in. Next, the robbers confiscate all the hostages' phones and keys. They force everyone to strip down and change into the exact same outfits the robbers are wearing. Then they split the hostages into 10 groups and lock them in separate rooms. Before long, a massive police presence arrives on the scene. They surround the building and seal off the entire block. Snipers get into position. It looks like there is no way out for these guys today. Nick is the lead negotiator on this operation. He does not make any rash moves because there are 50 lives at stake inside. After the robbers finish securing the building, one hostage has a heart attack, and the robbers actually let him go. This single act leads Nick to believe these are not cold-blooded killers. He figures they can be reasoned with. He tries to get the ringleader on the phone, but the guy completely ignores him. Nick has no idea what these robbers actually want. Logically, the robbers have the upper hand right now. They should be looting the place according to some plan. But what they do next makes absolutely no sense. They glance at the vault and show zero interest. They look at the private safe deposit boxes full of valuables. Still no interest. Then they walk into a storage room with nothing of value, and suddenly they are interested. They shove the shelves aside and start smashing the floor like maniacs. Pretty soon, they have broken open a huge hole. Are they trying to dig an escape tunnel? Just as the police hit a dead end, the robbers release another hostage, this time with a large box strapped to him. Fearing it might be a bomb, the police handle it extremely carefully. They open it up and find a letter from the robbers. By 9 tonight, have 2 cars and a helicopter ready. For every hour past the deadline, 1 hostage dies. That is when a white-haired old man shows up. He is the bank's owner, Wade. This is just one of his many branches. With his kind of wealth, he would never normally come down in person, but right now he looks incredibly nervous. Clearly, there is something inside that bank he cares about deeply. He says he will personally fund the cars and the helicopter. Just let them go. Nick obviously refuses because these men have already committed serious felonies. After sending Wade away, Nick continues his standoff with the robbers. The reason they split the hostages into groups earlier becomes clear. Every so often, they reshuffle the hostages and lock them in different rooms. One hostage seems to figure it out. He says the robbers made everyone wear matching outfits so that when the police finally storm the building, they will not be able to tell hostages from robbers. The hostages could easily get hurt by friendly fire. He argues they should fight back rather than sit there waiting to die. But the robbers overhear him, and he gets a brutal beating for it. The robbers keep rotating the hostages between rooms. At one point, they even have their own guys pretend to be hostages and blend in. Before long, the robbers finally turn their attention to the private safe deposit boxes. They crack one open. Inside are several boxes of diamonds and a document. The ringleader smiles. This is exactly why they came here today. Meanwhile, outside, the bank owner Wade is practically in tears because the box they opened is his. The document inside is extremely important, potentially a matter of life and death for him. He immediately sends a fixer to negotiate with the robbers. The fixer gets the mayor to pressure the police into cooperating because the mayor owes Wade a favor. The mayor is reluctant, but he has no choice except to step in. The fixer makes contact with the robbers inside. She tells them she is neither a cop nor a bank employee. Hearing this, the ringleader figures she already knows what this is really about. He agrees to meet. Soon, the fixer is face to face with the ringleader inside the bank. She gets straight to the point. Before this thing blows up any further, listen to me and walk out there and surrender. You will get 2, maybe 3 years tops. When you get out, I will hand you $2 million. Faced with this tempting offer, the ringleader does not even think about it and says no. He shows the fixer a secret document, the very thing the banker Wade hid in his safe deposit box, along with a pile of priceless diamonds. It turns out that during World War II, Wade made his first fortune by collaborating with warlords. He sold his soul to build the financial empire he has today. The ringleader tells the fixer everything. The negotiation falls apart. Nick has no choice but to go in himself. He walks into the bank, sees the hostages are safe, and tries to bluff the ringleader, saying police can storm the building at any moment. Your little crew would not stand a chance. But the ringleader's strategy is clearly a level above Nick's. He tells Nick that he knows the law too. No one is dead, so the police will never risk an assault. Nick gets frustrated and starts taunting him, saying if you are so tough, why not walk out that front door? The ringleader calmly replies, I will. When I am ready, I am going to stroll right out of here. Nick storms back to the command center furious. He declares that the robbers do not have the guts to kill anyone. The helicopter and cars are just a stalling tactic. But before he even finishes talking, the robbers call in and tell them to point the cameras at the bank window.
What the fuck are you doing?
Once a hostage dies, it means the final showdown between police and robbers has officially begun. The police rush to prepare a full tactical assault, but Nick feels something is off. He keeps thinking and remembers the metal plate the robber sent out earlier. He opens the hidden compartment, and sure enough, there is a listening device inside. The moment he realizes it is a trap, he grabs the phone to call off the operation, but it is too late.
With the demands in it. They heard everything we said. They put a transmitter in it. They bugged us.
No. I'm going in.
The robbers spring into action. Smoke grenades go off everywhere. All the hostages pour out the front door at once. The police cannot tell who is a robber and who is a hostage. They have no choice but to fire rubber bullets indiscriminately and drag everyone they catch back to the station. Then a wave of officers sweeps through the bank, but there's no sign of the robbers anywhere. Not a single dollar is missing from the bank. On top of that, the guns the robbers used turn out to be toys. They also find fake blood props in the bathroom. The whole execution scene was staged. Even if they get caught, they will not face serious charges. The police have been completely played. All they can do is go back and interrogate the hostages one by one. The robbers must be hiding among them. But no one ever saw the robbers' real faces, and the robbers had already mixed their own people in with the hostages in batches. After days of questioning, the police come up empty. Nick's boss finds him and says there are no casualties, no missing money, and no suspects. Just close the case. But Nick refuses to let it go. He digs through the bank's records and finds something strange. Safe deposit box number 392 was never officially registered in all the decades it existed. Nick goes back to the bank and opens the box. Inside is an expensive diamond ring and a note. Nick reads the note and realizes the ringleader is nudging him to do the right thing, to go after Wade. Nick tracks down the banker Wade and warns him that an investigation is coming. Wade tries to keep his composure and insists he has done nothing wrong. But Nick pulls out the diamond ring and says once they uncover the secret behind this ring, Wade will be a convicted man. Justice finally catches up with Wade, but the real question remains. How did the robbers vanish into thin air that day? It turns out they never actually escaped. The ringleader was hiding inside the bank the entire time, completely silent. That hole they dug in the storage room, it was to build a hidden living space. The hole in the floor was used as a makeshift toilet.
Oh, that's a good-looking shithole.
1 week later, the ringleader quietly slips out of his hiding spot. He happens to run into Nick, who has come back to open the safe deposit box. Because the ringleader is so impossibly calm, Nick does not suspect a thing. But when Nick gets home, he reaches into his pocket and finds a diamond. He thinks back to the man he bumped into at the bank. He knows for certain that was the ringleader. The man really did keep his word and strolled right out the front door.
Son of a bitch.
And that is where the story ends. This brilliant film is called Inside Man.